Hey, VCTC here, TC Kirkham, the Kirkham Report, and we're doing a response to JC at the flip side and his cool thread on intros to heavy metal and glam metal and pop, what we here in this household would call pop metal, and also a little bit of party metal too. But not just me today. My wife is a huge 80s and early 90s metal fan. So I've asked her to guest star with me on this video, and I'm going to let her go first. Take it away, hon.
Well, hey out there in vinyl land. My name is Kim. I'm also known as Mrs. TC, his better half, the bunny to his Claude, the Harley to his Joker, and any other euphemisms you want to come up with for someone who happens to be the love of somebody else's life. No, I'm just sorry. You're going to get a lot of this right now, so you might as well get used to it. When I was told about this from my sweetums, TC, about JC at the flip side, who is apparently an enormous glam metal fan, which means he's a person of style and taste, he was like, well, why don't you get in on this as well and talk about your love of glam metal, because I have no shame about being a lover of glam metal. I have been one since I was a oh boy, since I was, let's just say, a teenager, back when, you know, vinyl actually was pretty much the only thing you had, except for tapes or, you know, the burgeoning dawn of CDs and all that stuff. I was an enormous glam metal fan in high school and had to deal with a lot of guys, you know, that I went to school with, being all like, oh, they look like a bunch of girls. Oh, they look like a bunch of word that we don't use to describe people because it's rude. And my response was always just to glare at them, because I was incredibly shy in high school and didn't talk to people. I know, shocking, isn't it? No one believes me that I was so shy in high school. But anyway, moving on to the reason you're actually watching this video, because you're going, oh my God, woman, will you get to the point? So the point is my top 10 favorite glam metal albums. And also, I would like to say to JC, the fact that you brought up Vane's No Respect, oh my God, dude, you have so much cred with me now. I loved that album. I love it, I love it, I love it. I think my favorite song is Icy. I just love that album. It's so awesome. You rock, and you also rock double for bringing up Dirty Looks Cool from The Wire, because that is a great album. Oh, Ruby, love that song. So this is my list. It is not in any particular order at all, because my mind works like a pinball machine going off during an earthquake, and I don't really... Yeah. ADHD, what's that? Anyway, starting with... I have to start with a local band, though, because they are really awesome, and that would be the debut album for Extreme. An amazing, amazing debut. Watching Waiting, one of the most beautiful and moving... not to be, you know, if religious stuff bothers you, this might be a trigger. Watching Waiting is a beautiful, tragic, gorgeous version of someone being at the crucifixion of Jesus. And it's so incredibly moving. I think they should play it in churches every year at Easter time. But nobody asks my opinion on things like that, because goodness knows that's... Nobody asks my opinion, because that leads to dogs and cats living together and mass hysteria and stuff like that. Like I said, Extreme, great album. Another really good song on that album. Well, they're all really great songs, but we wore that album out, me and my friend, just driving around one summer. Teacher's Pet, great song. Next album that I'd like to bring up is, I think some people might go, okay, this is a real tonal shift, but okay. That would be To Hell with the Devil by Stryper. Stryper is a Christian rock band, and I know those are three words that make some people go, what? But it works. And I, at the risk of sounding like I'm being melodramatic, somewhere my husband's ears are burning, this music saved my life. This music pulled me and made me realize that life wasn't all about just feeling alone. If you find other people that can, vibe in with your vibe. And To Hell with the Devil is an amazing, beautiful album, and the song honestly never fails to bring me to tears. Great message. It has a message, but the message is more about love than ramming Christianity down your throat usually, and I really love it. Next is a band that unfortunately didn't get enough love. I've heard they do have another album out, which I really want to find. It's a band called Roxanne, and their debut album was self-titled. My favorite song in there is a ballad called It's Not the Same. And they also do a really good cover of Wild Cherry's Play That Funky Music. Really great album, Roxanne. If you get a chance to find them, check them out. Next on my list is Warrant's Cherry Pie. I think maybe one of these days I will play this album and not tear up. I miss you, Janie. Janie Lane, taken from us way too soon. Terrific, raunchy. This album can get really raunchy. It can also get very sweet and very sad. You have a song like Cherry Pie, which is filthy. I don't have a problem with filthy sometimes. I'm a woman. I have needs. Don't judge me. But there's also like a song like I Saw Red, which is just so incredibly poignant. I don't know if it's available on vinyl, and I don't know that even if it is, the last track, which is a song, which is actually not a really song, but it's called Ode to Tipper Gore. And if you can find this, oh my gosh, the first time I heard it, I was like, yep, that's these guys down to a science. Next is a band from across the pond over in Britain, a glam band that I found out about back in college called Tiger Tails, and their album Young and Crazy, which has, this, for the most part, this is an album that just kind of walks up and goes, you are going to listen to me and you are going to like it. It just like grabs you by the face. I'm trying to think of some of the songs are so great. Ballerina is a guitar piece, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And it leads right into the next song, Living Without You, which is really great. City Kids, another fantastic song. So that's Tiger Tails, Young and Crazy. My next, one of my favorite albums is the second album from Cinderella, another band that JC brought up with their debut album, Night Songs. Woo! Awesome stuff. I like Heartbreak Station just a teeny bit better because of the ballad Don't Know What You've Got Till It's Gone. I'm a ballad girl. What can I tell you? You give me a ballad with a bunch of guitars and stuff like that and some guy crooning soulfully while wearing leather pants. And I mentioned woman needs, don't judge. But I also really like, there's another song in there called Gypsy Road, which I really, really dig. I love that song. And Tom Kiefer, the lead vocalist, has this incredible voice that can growl and shriek and howl and then get really soft and quiet. And it's melts me inside every time. So that's Cinderella's Heartbreak Station. The next album is by DeMauls, which that is the name of their album as well, DeMauls. Very cheeky bunch of guys. Love the first album. Song in there called All I Want, which is pretty flirty, pretty naughty, pretty me. I like it. And there's another song called it's called 777. And for the longest time, I was like, what are these names they're saying in this song? I think they're all angels. I'm not super duper sure about that, but I do think they're all angels. And I got to bring up another song from that album. It's called High and Low. And it's from a first person point of view dealing with alcoholism. And it's pretty serious, but it's done in a really amazing way and has a kick-ass guitar solo in the middle of it from SS Priest, one of the members of the band. My next album is from the band Kix, and it's the album Hot Wire. Their debut, I think it's their debut album. I might be wrong about that. I They might have had an AP before that, but the album before this album had "Blow My Fuse." Had, I think it was their biggest hit, which was a anti-suicide ballad called "Don't Close Your Eyes." Hot Wire is a little bit, I don't want to say harder, but it's got some great stuff on it. My favorite song on that would probably be Hot Wire, which is a really good song. I love Kicks. I've loved them for a long time. I think they're really great. This one might throw a few people. Through me. First time I ever heard them, I was like, okay, this is crazy, but you know what? I really dig it. It's a band from Japan called Loudness. And the album was called Thunder in the East. And I actually, ironically, got to see them open for Stryper at a concert a long time ago. I don't want to make all of us feel old, okay? But they were really terrific. I really liked their style and the fact that they were just kind of frenetic and out there and completely like, we are going to rock your balls off, and I loved it, you know, and it was great stuff. I think my favorite song on that album was probably SDI. And to round things out, I know some people are going to go, oh my gosh, are you serious? You've mentioned this hard album and that hard album and whatever. And I know some of this stuff isn't super crazy hard. But these guys are important to me. My last album that I want to bring up is Nelson's After the Rain. Matt and Gunnar Nelson, the sons, twin sons of Ricky Nelson, they got a lot of airplay on MTV, and I got a lot of time watching them on MTV, and that didn't sound stalkery or weird. I didn't mean it that way. Stalking is bad, okay? But After the Rain is a glorious album with so much passion and love in every single song. Only Time Will Tell. Beautiful, beautiful song. I Can't Live Without Your Love and Affection, which I have to be honest was my first introduction to Nelson, and that song hit me right between the feels. Go with that. Okay, so if you haven't turned this video off by now, if you like any of these, if you've heard of any of these, if you think I am completely off my nut and should never show my face on this channel again, let TC know, because this is his fault. I hope you enjoyed my list. I hope you have a fabulous day and a fabulous rest of your week. And keep rocking. Sorry, I don't know how to do this. I'm not a video person.
Yeah, she was shy in school. Okay, my turn. My top 10 hair metal list. And I mean, these are some people don't consider them hair metal, but I do. And I'm going to use Magic Box for them because it's just easier. I've only got 2 things on vinyl. Everything else is on CD, and I can't get to it. So here we go. I have all these. They're all great things, and I would definitely recommend them to anybody getting into this kind of stuff. First up, of course, my boys in Def Leppard and Hysteria. Now, some people don't consider Def Leppard hair metal, but they were thrown into the hair metal category. I know they don't like to be classed that way, but Hysteria is a classic album. The 7 big hits off of it, including Pour Some Sugar on Me, Love Bites, and Armageddon It, all classic hair metal songs. Really great stuff. I mean, you can't go wrong with Def Leppard on anything. I'd also recommend, 5 or 6 of their other albums. Adrenalize, my favorite, but all the big hits came off of Hysteria from 1987. Next up is an album that a lot of people don't really know, but has always been one of my favorites. 1992's Refugee by Bad for Good. They're a one-album act, and all of the members went on to be bigger and better stars in other bands or fields. You got Danny Cooksey, best known as Sam on Different Strokes, who is vocally absolutely incredible here. Thomas McLaughlin now has his own video channel on YouTube with him and his kids. Really fantastic stuff. He was an amazing player, and people know him because he played little Stevie Vai in the video for the audiences listening. That's how this whole band came together. Zach Young, who had done a whole bunch of other stuff, he's also all over Instagram with his family, but he continues to be one of the best bass players and drummers in the world. And Brooks Walkerman, who went on to be drummer for Suicidal Suicidal Tendencies, I think, or what's the offshoot band? Um, Infectious Grooves, that's it. That's who he was with. And he's been with other bands too over the years. They all came together with a great metal album in 1992. It includes a remake of 19, great power ballad called Nothing's Great About a Heartache, another one called Slow and Beautiful. All kinds of great stuff on there. Love that album immensely. It's terrific. Next up, another band that didn't do that well nationally, but we got airplay for them on The Blitz in Columbus, Ohio. South Gang from 1992 and their second album, Group Therapy. Fire in Your Body was the big hit off that album, but I love Legend of CC Road. It reminds me a lot of Legend of Woolly Swamp or Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's a very, what do they call that? Very gothic sounding, atmospheric song. Really would make a great video. Jesse Hart's lead vocals are phenomenally good, and I don't know why he hasn't done better in the business, because he's just fantastic. But I love that album, South Gang's Group Therapy. Number 4, Mark Slaughter and his band Slaughter, Stick It To Ya. There isn't a bad track on this album. Of course, the big hit off of it I just had on, I played it on Obscuria a few months ago, and everything on that album is just phenomenally good. But Fly to the Angels, just an incredible ballad, and Mark just lets his voice take over the entire thing. He is fantastic, and so is the band. All their stuff has been really good too. Another favorite of mine that I got into from The Blitz in Columbus, Hardline, their album Double Eclipse. I think it's Gianelli brothers were the main stars of that band. Hot Cherie, Rhythm from a Red Car. Great stuff off that album. Love the whole album. It is phenomenally good, and it's not really well known, so you have to look around for it. 2 albums, so I'm going to go over by 1 or 2, from the band Winger, their self-titled debut album from 1988, and their 1993 album Pull. Everybody knows 17 from the first album, and I love that, but my favorite song by them comes from Paul, Down Incognito. I love both of those albums. They are fantastic, and Kip Winger, man, when his fingers start flying on that guitar, look out, because you're going to start a fire. It's just incredible. Next one on my list, from 1986, possibly the closest thing to I don't know. They're definitely hair metal, but they're also leaning towards softer hair metal. Europe and The Final Countdown from 1986. Joey Tempest is one of the best singers on the planet. That album produced Final Countdown and also Carrie and a number of other great songs on it. Top notch all the way around. The production's incredible. The keyboards and the guitars meld perfectly. It is definitely something to get. Next up, Lean Into It from Mr. Big. I actually did pick up the Record Store Day reissue on vinyl last year. Love Mr. Big. Anything I can get with Eric Martin on vocals, I have. Eric Martin is one of my favorite singers on the planet. He has a great solo album out too that came out in the mid-2000s called Timeless, where he's done his covers of some of the biggest hits of the 90s, all the way back to 70s. Actually, he does Superstar by the Carpenters, Eternal Flame by the Bangles, My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion, and a bunch of others on that album. It's worth having. But Mr. Big's Lean Into It, of course, To Be With You was the big hit off of it, but the whole album is phenomenally good. Don't miss that one. Next up, Ugly Kid Joe and America's Least Wanted. These guys don't take metal seriously, and it shows, thanks to their hit Everything About You. Their second album was the one that has Cats in the Cradle, and it's not bad either. I still prefer Harry Chapin's original, but I do love their version too. But America's Least Wanted, some of the songs on there are so phenomenally funny. It's scary, and it's ironic, because the whole thing, and of course there's the censored cover and there's the good cover, which is what I got up here. And it's just, Everything About You is just one of those songs you have to know is great. I saw them open for Def Leppard in 1993 in Columbus, Ohio. And it's really scary when you have a crowd on at the field at Cooper Stadium, and lead singer Whitfield Crane is leading the audience in singing the theme from Three's Company. Ugly Kid Joe is just awesome, and that album is fantastic. And the final album of my original 10 is the second album from Lynch Mob, the group led by George Lynch. Dream Until Tomorrow, another song that was a monster on the Blitz in 1992. That whole album is great. The first album is good too. George Lynch's follow-up, the solo follow-up, was fantastic too, mainly thanks to vocals by Matt and Gunnar Nelson on We Don't Own This World, which was the single off of it. But it was really terrific, and my wife stole Nelson, otherwise it would have been on this list. And I do have one addition, that it doesn't quite fall into hair metal because it's too late. Hair metal technically ended, according to the Wikipedia article, in 2000, and it didn't come out till 2001. But if there's anybody who qualifies for hair metal of the modern rock generation, it's Andrew WK. I Get Wet is one of my favorite albums, and is his best album by far. It has all of his party rock songs, has the unbelievably awesome Ready to Die, everything else on that. I love Andrew WK, and I think that album definitely fits into it. So if you're looking for a little bit more modern spin on hair metal, Andrew WK is the way to go. So that's my list and Kim's list. I hope you enjoy it. JC, thanks for this great thread. Thank you for making my wife so happy with those picks on your list too. And hope everybody will take a listen to some of these albums. And if you're looking to get into them, these are definitely my recommendations and hers. Until next time, for my wife Kim, Mrs. TC, I'm TC Kirkham, the Kirkham Report. Ciao, baby.